What's up, guys? Finally making some progress today on the shop truck. This will be part 2, and let's get right into it. So, finished off the last video. I think we were up to here with bolts on the first board, and now I've just gone ahead and drilled my next 3 and last 3 sets of holes for this board and gotten the bolts in, and now I've got to go ahead and tighten up my nylon lock nuts. I'm not sure if I mentioned in the last video that all I had on hand were 5" by 3/8 carriage bolts, and all I really need are like 2", but instead of going out and spending a bunch of money, I would bet this is close to $100 box of bolts. There's 50 of them in there. I'm just going to go with these and then cut off the excess. So let's head underneath the bed here and take a look. So here are the 2 that I just did. You can see what I've actually got to do is grip the bolt with a vice grip so that it doesn't spin on me, with these being a nylon lock nut, and tighten it all the way up, and then we'll come back with a cutting wheel and cut them off, which looks like that. So here's another set that I did, and let's jump ahead to this set that needs to be done. So I'll set the camera up here and get started on that. Alright, so first things first, we'll just grab up high somewhere on the bolt. Start the 3/8 by, I think it's like 16, it's just a coarse thread. And I did have to buy the nuts. Those were box of 100 for like $15. So a lot of guys have said, why not use like a self-tapping bolt that is typically used on a truck bed? And I sure could have done that. I would imagine those are kind of pricey, and they're not going to look near as cool as all of these carriage bolt heads. These will be much stronger, and I saved the cost of buying the bolts. All I had to do is buy the nuts. So, just seemed like the best idea. Unfortunately, I can't get at the nut from under here with my frame in the way. Otherwise, I would just put a socket on it and impact it in place. But this is where the ratcheting wrench really comes in handy. Alright, 20 minutes later, I'll just switch the vice grip down below now and crank it the rest of the way up. If you can see, there's a residual screw, I guess it would have been, all the way across here from the old boards, and sometimes I've drilled in to put my new bolt in and I've hit that screw, which A, really screws up the drill bit, and 2, it makes it really tough to get the nut in place because you're trying to run the wrench right up next to that. So in some places we've lucked out. In some places I just hit those with a hammer and chisel and break them off to get them out of the way. So luckily we're okay on this particular set of bolts. Okay, we're starting to pull that bolt down now. Let me take you up to the top and show you how far I'm going to pull that down. So here's the bolt we're working on. If I really wanted to do it and be extremely fancy, I could have countersunk the head of these bolts so that it sat down flush and everything. I don't really care that much. So what I've been doing is I pull it down just to where it starts to kind of split the wood. And I shouldn't even say split. It just kind of puts a divot in the wood, which is fine. It's not a show truck or anything like that. So there you can see it's pressed down into the wood a little bit. It's not splitting it or doing much damage. And there's just a slight bubble there if you're walking on the flatbed or anything like that, but it's not going to be like a trip hazard or get caught on anything. So I'll run back down and do this second one, and then we'll drill some holes for the second board. I want to show you this second board. I unfortunately didn't get much footage of it, but here's a look at how nicely that fit in there. The kid that's helping me out on the project chiseled this all out nice, made a cutout here for our stake pocket, and then chiseled this out so that we have a nice flush tight fit there. I also want to run you around, I can't remember if it's this back corner, nope, it must be the other side, where there's that original brand and model name that I want to duplicate. We'll really have to look because it's faded to where you can barely read it. I couldn't find that writing on the side, but if any of you know that are watching, all I remember is it's something like Mighty Giant or Little Giant, and it's some sort of a grain box. So let me know in the comments. Let's just take one last look, and then I'll wrap up this particular video. You can see how nice all of these bolts are going to look when these shiny bolt heads are exposed. And we're going to have a total of, I believe, 10 or 11 boards, which is about 75, that's about 81 inches. So if we figure we've got 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 bolts in one board times 10, we've got about 140 bolt heads. So it's going to look pretty slick. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on part